Hello and welcome to this video about overview of writing structured literature review for your thesis. In this video, we'll go together through the literature review, how to make this literature review ready for publication. My name is Muhammad Hassan Taha. I am the director of the Medical Education Center, University of Sharjah, United Arab Emirates, and also the coordinator of the Master of Leadership in Health Professional Education and the PhD in Health Professional Education. This video is a part of series related to research methods in health professional education, and I encourage you to watch the first video, which was about writing a research proposal, and then this video will be about the literature review, and then we'll go together through the journey of doing research in health professional education till the publication. So you can watch either each video separately, or you can watch the full series of these videos related to research methods in health professional education. So the main outline of this session today is to define what is a literature review, what is a structured literature review. Then to understand the purpose of doing a literature review, to apply the steps of conducting a literature review, and to write a well-structured literature review chapter. So we are using structured literature review because in our master program, we are using structured literature review. However, the concept in these videos could be applied to the different type of literature review, including the narrative literature review according to the university regulations. And we will have specific videos for the other type of the reviews, including the systematic reviews, scoping reviews, and umbrella review, and the other format of the review. So, what is the literature review? Literature review refers to survey scholarly articles, books, and other sources relevant to your topics. And the purpose here is to demonstrate that the writer has significantly and critically surveyed the literature, the relevant literature, on his or her topic. Why? In order to convince an intended audience, could be the assessor or the readers, if we publish your articles, that these topics were to be addressed. So it's not about copy and paste from the literature. No, it's about synthesize. It's about evaluation and about critical survey of the literature. And when we say analyze, we are going to define what do we mean by analyzing, critically analyzing the literature in this video. So we survey. When we say survey, that we mean comprehensive review of scholarly sources. When we say critique, we are referring to insightful and critical analysis of the literature. When we say justify, we are referring to demonstrate the topic is worth addressing. And as you can see here, these are the key terms that used in this definition of the literature review. So now let's see the outline of the literature review. So it's very important when we think about the literature review to think about this table. And I highly advise you and encourage you, if you are a master student, if you are a PhD student, please save this table to your computer. And you can take now a screenshot from this table. This is a very important table that you should work on. This is called thesis table. And this is, we can consider it as a backbone for your structured literature review. Because why? It allows you to systematically record, compare, and it will help you to use it in the synthesis of the literature review. This table includes the following column. The following columns: author date, the title of the paper, full paper title, aim and purpose, the research question, the methods used, the key results and main findings, the conclusion about the author conclusions, the limitations about the gaps, and the recommendation is for the future research. By doing so, you can easily do the synthesis of the review. And the important tip here, complete one row per included study. And source row thematically or chronologically to support the thesis. And each column maps directly to a section of your written literature review chapter, and the table is your planning tool. So these very important things that need to be considered. Please start with doing this table. Please do each row for a single article, because this table is very important, and this table literally we can consider it as a backbone of your structured literature review. Then let's see that what is the goal? What are the goals of the literature review? So your goal is to set the stage for your reader and for assessor by providing context and explaining the significance of the review and outlining the structure of the literature review of your chapter, the literature review chapter. So you have to provide context, and this situates the readers to the broader research landscape. You have to explain the significance, show why this topic is important. And you have to outline the structure so that you can provide and give clear structure of this chapter. Now let's see the outline of the chapter, literature review chapter. You have to start with the context and background by introducing the broader research topic or problem. Provide sufficient context to orient readers unfamiliar with your subject. Then you have to provide rationale for the review, explaining why this structured review on this specific topic is important. Here you have to highlight the gaps, unresolved issues, and the significance of addressing them. Very important also to highlight the scope and delimitations, defining the boundaries, the time framework. You use language or the other English language or the source, peer review, books, reports, or only original articles, and you exclude commentaries and so on. What are the inclusion and the exclusion criteria and so on? How did you make structure for your search and limit your search? Then you have to also to show the methodological approach, whether you use thematic approach of reporting the different section of the literature review, or chronologic, that means from new to old, or you use or methodological approach based on the methods, homogeneity, heterogeneity, or theoretical, and you have to justify which choice you have chosen and why. Then this slide talk about the organization, signposting, and transition. The organization of the chapter, you have to provide an overview of main themes or categories, the readers in which the order in which presented, and heading and the subheading. This is very important. For signposting, we are referring to use explicitly signposting language. Maybe in the following sections, we first examine this, followed by this, secondly, thirdly, and finally, so that the reader can feel that there is a smooth flow. It's very important to use the sentence, transition sentence, whether when using comparisons or emphasizing or contrasting and so on. And you have to conclude the introduction section of the literature review chapter with a clear transition sentence that link it naturally to the first section of the review. The next slide is example of the structure. It could be structured in this way. Main heading, then the second heading, and so on. So it's very important to use the numbering. And the next slide will show example for the context, aim, scope, approach, and structure. For the context example, you can start by talking about the field of this topic, maybe engagement or whatever has witnessed significant advancements over the years, make it imperative to comprehensively examine the body of the literature. The review address the gap and emergent trends within this dynamic field. Then moving to the aim, the literature review guided by the following objective. Then the scope, focusing on the articles published in English, for example, between 20 to 20 2020 to 2026, maybe, drawing upon peer-reviewed articles or books or whatever, using the following keywords and the following key strategy. Then you should describe the approach. The review adopt maybe systematic structure approach or scoping or whatever, following inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria to ensure a comprehensive yet targeted examination. Then the structure about the chapter, the subsection, the subsequent section delve into the themes. We will begin with these themes, followed by this. Finally, the gaps, the challenge are discussed, and so on. So by doing so, you will finally also should set the stage for the next chapter of your thesis. So it should be structured in this way. And here the example of the themes and sub-themes, and always try to link them to the research question. Your thesis should be structured in this way. So the introduction, and here the slide summarizing the previous slides. The introduction, the main body, and the conclusion. The introduction, setting the context, aim, scope, limitation, methodological approach, outline the chapters. Then for the main body, the themes, summarize each, synthesize, analyze, and we will explain this in the next slide. I use the terminology analyze, critical appraisal during this video, and it will be explained to you. And the conclusion of the chapter should recap the main theme, show the findings, contribution to the knowledge, and so on. So what do you mean by summarize, synthesize, analyze, and evaluation? I think this slide is very important, and please pay attention to this slide carefully. Summarize refer to report each study main aim, methods, and finding accurately and concisely, 1 or 2 sentences per study. Synthesize refer to groups group studies that address the same theme, identify consensus, contradictions, and patterns across the body of the work. Analyze refer to interpret what is the pattern mean, explain why studies agree or disagree or differ, whether methodologically, contextual, or in population. And evaluate refer to critically appraise quality and limitations of the evidence, contribute your own scholarly voice and perspectively. For this reason, some of the reviewers report that this literature review chapter is written in descriptive way, not in analytical way or evaluative way. So please take a screenshot of this slide carefully, and you may use this slide as the rubric to evaluate your own structured literature review or your own literature review chapter. So how we can structure our paragraph in the literature review chapter? Each paragraph should start with the topic sentence, supporting sentence or supporting evidence, synthesis, critical analysis, and linking sentence. How? In the topic sentence, we should introduce the main idea of the paragraph. Link clearly to the theme. In the supporting evidence, we have to cite here the study, whether support or challenge the claim. And when we cite, you have to summarize them concisely. For the thesis section within the paragraph, we have to show how this study relates, point out consensus, gaps, or contradiction. For the critical analysis, you have to interpret the finding, explain the difference, and offer scholarly perspective. And for the linking sentence, we are referring to the transition smoothly to the next paragraph and next section. We have talked about structuring your paragraph in the last 2 slides. Now let's move to the step of conducting structure review. We have to start with the research question. And in the last video about the research proposal, we describe different format of research question. We can use BICO framework when we are referring to quantitative research, experimental, intervention, which BICO refer to population, intervention, comparison, and outcome. Or we can use PCC framework, population, context, and concepts, or we can use the spider framework for, so it's very important to define step 1 and 2, define the question and define the search term carefully. Step 3, conduct the search. Using the database, minimum 3 database, could be Web of Science, Scopus, maybe CINAHL, PubMed, but PubMed should be one of these. And we have to use the Boolean operators such as on and or, and this is very important. We'll have another video about doing search in the database. You have to refine the search strategy carefully. Review the result to check the key article appear, the result adjust, adding maybe a synonym to the same term, removing broad books, using truncation sometimes. So it's very important to be trained about the search strategy. You have to select and assess the articles. You'll start by screening the title, the abstract, and then full article, utilizing the tool that you have made or the form, extraction form, in terms of the inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, and then you have to assess the quality using critical appraisal checklist. Evaluate the study design, the methodology, any bias, and so on. It's very important to document your search strategy, and this is very important for the transparency. So present the search history table, including the database, the terms, the operators, limiters, maybe date, language, the number of the results, the final included studies, and so on. Typically, you should use Prisma chart. So it's very important to use Prisma chart and to fill it regularly and timely. So final message here. A good literature review is a focused, concise, logical, developed, integrative, and current. Focused, present ideas and studies closely related to the topic. Concise, use space efficiently. Every sentence must earn its place. Logical mean smooth, logical presentation, ideas within and across paragraphs. Develop, tell the full story. Don't leave themes half explored or not explored. Integrative, show the big pictures, commonalities, difference, and contribution. Current, that refer to focus on cut-edge work, prioritize the recent high-quality study. The final message here is you have to proofread, revise, and utilize the useful resources that you have. Don't spend time in proofreading while writing. You can keep the proofreading at the end. Maybe you can follow the journal or institutional guidelines. You have to eliminate at this phase the typo error, the grammatical errors. You have to ensure consistent and formatting throughout the literature review section. Check the citation, accuracy, and everything, because sometimes the digital reference manager retrieve inaccurate citation. As non-native speakers, English speakers, we recommend this for the students. Manchester Phrase Bank. So you can scan this QR code here, and this QR code will take you to the website of this Manchester Phrase Bank. We found this very useful, and we are encouraging the students to read this Phrase Bank book so that they can learn from it. Thank you so much for watching these videos. And again, this video develop an outline or present an outline about the literature review, structure with focus on structured literature review. However, we encourage you to use the useful tool, and we encourage you also to develop your skills in utilizing the database related to the literature review. Stay connected with this series of videos which aim to cover important topics in research method in health professional education. We started with writing proposal. Now we are in the literature review phase, and we will move throughout the different phases of your thesis. Thank you so much, and see you connected with us in the next video.